Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is CastleMiner Z? Some people call it CastleMiners, which is, I don't believe, correct. But I'd like to apologize if you don't mind. Why would I apologize? Well, for the last few years I've been making videos in 1080p. Because I've had the capability. Now I'll make one in 720. Why would I do such a thing? Why would I make a video in 720p? Of a new game? That seems very odd, doesn't it? Well, it is. And that's because there's no resolution options of any description. No. What the fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is CastleMiner Z? First, I'd like to apologize. For a while now, I've been making videos in 1080p, of course, because I've had the upload speed to do it. I didn't used to, so I had to make them in 720. And yet, in 2014, along comes a video of a new game on Steam that I put up in 720p. Was it a mistake? Did I screw up my encoding settings in some way? No, it just doesn't have any resolution options of any description. Brought to you by DigitalDNA Games, CastleMiner Z originally came out on Xbox 360 a couple of years back, if you can actually believe that, and it was part of the Xbox Indie Game program. Here's the problem with the Xbox Indie Game program. That sounds really good, doesn't it? Oh, it's space for indies in its own place. What a wonderful place to grow talent. The problem is, it was a cesspit. There were barely any good games in it whatsoever, and it was chock full of $1 to $2 junk titles. And clones of Minecraft were very popular. In fact, most of the best-selling Xbox Live indie titles of all time are Minecraft clones, including this one, which touts its status as the best-selling Xbox Live indie title of all time. Which, of course, is not remotely true. I mean, if you want to talk about indie games on Xbox Live, there are, of course, things that have sold way, way better, including, of course, Super Meat Boy, Fez. I mean, come on. What they mean is it was the best-selling game in the indie games section, which barely anyone went to. But it had that short amount of popularity because Minecraft wasn't out at the time when this came out. So it was a bit of a gold rush to get your Minecraft clone onto Xbox Live because a bunch of 8-year-olds really wanted to play it. Of course, then along came the actual Minecraft, and this kind of thing became a little bit less popular, but that has not stopped this game from finding its way onto Steam somehow. And by somehow, of course, I mean it got greenlit. Oh dear. What is this big B? Of course, that would be an Xbox button prompt. The menus are just chock full of those damn things. The controls cannot be rebound in any way, shape, or form. Invert the Y-axis by hitting that Y... Oh, wait, I don't have one of those because I don't have a controller plugged in because this isn't an Xbox. Just something that the developers seem to have forgotten when not putting in any decent options whatsoever. Controller sensitivity. That sounds great. What is my controller? Oh, wait, I don't have one. You mean mouse sensitivity? Is that what you're looking for there? You would think in the 2 years it took you to port this game over, you might have realized what platform you were making the game for in the first place. But evidently not. Raise storage. That sounds like a terrible idea. Wipe my entire hard drive? What is a storage? Oh my, oh my, oh my. What is it, though? Well, it's a Minecraft clone with an emphasis on survival. The survival mode is what I would imagine some people associate with being Minecraft's defining feature, although many others think it's the creative mode, the idea of just building something without being harassed. Well, CastleMiner Z takes the survival mode and, let's just say, it does, I wouldn't say it does a lot with it, but it really emphasizes it. If you go to survival here, there's a couple of other modes. Dragon Endurance isn't even available yet. You've got to actually beat the undead dragon in order to do that in the first place. Build a fortress, mine resources. Sounds great in theory. Defend yourself from the undead horde. Alright. Okay then. Let me show you exactly what's happening here. Now, this will allow you to build freely without enemy attacks, but yeah, you probably want to go for normal. Now, there is hardcore as well. You drop all items when you die on hardcore. Normal, enemies appear when you cover fresh ground and swarm at night. So, you will get enemies pestering you during the day here in some way. Easy stops that from happening, which seems... funnily enough, it seems like the only way to actually play it in single player, and those who watch my stream on this know exactly why. What normal doesn't tell you, by the way, is you think, oh, under hardcore, you drop all your items when you die. Under normal, you drop all the items that are not in your hotbar, which I discovered to my cost. Now, you might think, oh, well, you could just play better. Yes? and maybe no. Alright. Into the world of CastleMiner. And what a hideous world it is. Well, it's got blocks in it. So, what did they do? Well, they took the block-based design of Minecraft and they decided, you know what, we'll update it with textures. And they're really terrible. And here's the problem with doing that. Yeah? Minecraft has a very specific aesthetic, and I personally think the damn thing looks hideous, but a lot of people disagree with me. I know, shocking, isn't it? They disagree with me, of all people. They disagree with me, and what they actually think is that the game it has its own kind of unique style to it, you know? And you might think, oh, well, you know, it's not a good-looking game. True, but it has its own unique aesthetic. And it has gained popularity. I mean, for God's sake, people are wandering around with creeper faces on t-shirts. That's an endorsement if I've ever seen one. But when you take that blocky style and you just slap a higher definition texture on it, that doesn't make it look better. As weird as it sounds. You'd think, well, surely it makes it look better. High-res textures are good, right? There are some exceptions to that rule, yeah? If you're trying to look like real life, you know, or anything along those lines, then absolutely high-res textures are good. But if you're trying to do the Minecraft style of things, which is to, well, look like this, with the blocks and everything, then actually having realistic textures works against you, and it ends up making the game look incredibly cheap. It's a situation that you can avoid by having your own kind of unique aesthetic, but this game, well, it barely ever has one. So, let's go outside and show you exactly what I mean. So you're already noticing that I'm wielding a shotgun, because yes, the game has guns in it for whatever reason. It very much seems to be a game that was aimed at people that like Minecraft, but also said, hey, you know, we could tap into the Call of Duty demographic, perhaps, by having some guns. And indeed, you can craft these guns out of basic materials. Strangely enough, I can craft a fully functional pump shotgun off basic materials that I find off the land, and you will use them to kill these zombies. Yeah. Did you hear the gun there? Probably not. Let's just say the sound assets leave something to be desired. So you'll be consistently attacked by random stuff as you're trying to mine your way through here. And the random stuff seems to consist of about 3 different monsters, for what I've seen. Now, I've put a couple of hours into this game. I even went on a multiplayer server on a harder difficulty, and I've only ever seen 3 monsters. A zombie, a skeleton, and a skeleton archer. This is not counting the dragon, which occasionally turns up, and apparently it's something you're supposed to kill. But I've yet to figure out how to actually do that. I assume you just have to get enough good enough gun to do it, because my shotgun doesn't actually reach the dragon in the sky. So that's somewhat irritating, to say the least, but never mind. There are recolors of these enemies. I've seen blue zombies, I've seen green zombies, I've seen red zombies, and variants of the skeletons and things like that, but that doesn't mean that there are separate enemies. No. There are not separate enemies in the game. They're just simply recolors of the existing ones. So, for a game that is emphasizing survival and the survival aspect, which is, again, something that they could do, because Minecraft didn't do an incredible job of it, they seem to have missed the boat entirely, and more to the point, just they don't understand what it is that Minecraft didn't do all that well, so that they could then improve it. Because their idea of improve the survival mode is give you guns and have you attacked more. And that does not do the job. At all. Now, I would like to, of course, tell you why once I've finished mining out this copper. And yes, it is green. And I'll actually give them credit for this. Of course, copper does oxidize when it hits the air. So, in theory, the copper that you see on the outside of a block would be oxidized. So it would, in fact, be green. So, all credit to them for that. But regardless, people do recognize copper as being brown. That's kind of a gameplay thing these days. It's almost like reinventing the color rarity system that was done in World of Warcraft. It's like, you just don't do that because people already recognize those colors as specific rarities. So it kind of became part of the game nomenclature, but whatever. You know, it's a minor complaint at best. So outside of the mining aspect, which is incredibly annoying, I might add, because it kicks up dust to the point where you can barely see what it is you're mining. I don't really know why they said, you know what, let's put some particle effects in here, because these particle effects, they look ancient. I mean, I'm talking like Quake 1 levels of ancient here. Like, why on earth would you want to show that off? I certainly wouldn't. It seems like a fairly piss-poor idea. But the meat of the game is getting better guns, because there really isn't all that much else you can do. In Minecraft, you can make all sorts of things. Like, for God's sake, someone made like a fully functional computer within Minecraft, using a shit ton of redstone and all sorts of things like that. You can't do anything that interesting within CastleMiner Z, not at all. So it boils down to making new guns to help you survive and kill more stuff and kind of explore the world. Alright, okay. So I made my shotgun, and let's actually have a look at how this stuff is crafted. So there's no crafting tables. There's, to be fair, no real elegance to the crafting system whatsoever. This is the stuff that I currently have in my inventory. By the way, crafting does not pause the game, so you can very easily get murdered by zombies in the middle of this. So we go to craft, and this brings up a crafting list, which comes along the side here. So it's like the really old Terraria list, except it's even worse, because you can't actually hover over anything. There are no tooltips, and if you click on something, well, it'll automatically craft it, so you can accidentally craft stuff. So if you're wanting to know, oh, you know, how much does it take to craft a torch? Well, you'll have to actually scroll up to the torch, and there's quite a lot to scroll through, as I think you can very clearly see there. What I will give them credit for is the fact that stuff that you can build automatically populates up to the top. It's like, oh, you've got resources for this? All right, we're going to pop that in there then. So I'm going to make a bunch of copper. There we go. And then that's going to let me build some other stuff, you know, stone axes, copper spades, bullets. Yes, you have to craft bullets in this game, which are inexplicably made out of brass casings and rocks. It's just like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, you need, I think it's sort of like coal and rocks or something along those lines. Or is it wood and rocks? I think it might even be wood and rocks. Whatever the case, the recipe for bullets is quite hilarious. And yes, you can load a shotgun with bullets, because why the hell not? You don't have to make separate shotgun shells. Oh, what the hell? Oh, I'm being shot from across the map. That's great. You may have noticed, by the way, I took significant damage. Let me show you just how much damage you take from one of these skeletal archers. This game has regenerating health, but you can die really fast, really quickly. It's actually kind of ludicrous how fast you can die in this game. And when you do that, you drop all of the stuff that's in your main inventory. And good luck getting it back again, because you probably won't be able to remember where you were in the first place. Now it's nighttime, so things are going to get pretty ugly. The game encourages you to build a fortress to defend yourself. What it doesn't tell you, of course, is the dragon actually wrecks your fortress, and also, actually building a fortress of any description is a little bit tricky, considering you're being consistently attacked by, well, everything. I don't even know if I was actually able to hit the dragon there. I don't know. I saw the bullets moving at a snail's pace, so it's hard to say. Building a fortress without assistance is a nightmare. Like, the game was clearly designed to be played with others, yeah? So that you can at least kind of defend your partner and make sure that they don't die and don't lose all of their items and so on and so forth. On your own, though, this game is misery, especially at night. Go and get yourself in a hole, you know, go and try and defend yourself, but enemies seem to just spawn absolutely everywhere. And also, can you explain this random heroic music that just came out of nowhere? Really? Have you never heard of something called sound design? Here's the thing about sound design, right? Or here's just the general notion of how you do music. Music has to be appropriate to what is currently going on, yeah? And if it's not, then you end up looking like an idiot. And that random heroic music that just kicked in when I found myself in a grey cave, and this just seems to happen randomly around the map, by the way. The game has very little actual music. I'm not really sure where this music came from, who they nicked it from, I don't even know. You know, maybe they just got some royalty-free stuff, maybe they did ask for someone to compose for them, but whoever is responsible for doing the whole sound design of this game didn't understand what sound design actually meant. In general, the sound assets are incredibly poor. I mean, we're talking about really poor sound effects across the board. You know what really gets me about it, actually, is the fact that I believe it's the zombie noise, is actually a slightly reprocessed version of the imp sound from Doom. Very, very similar. Incredibly similar. But the game is lacking in almost any other sound assets. The guns sound incredibly weak. They sound like toys for the most part. And there are no footsteps, from what I can tell. So the only warning you ever get of a zombie coming to destroy you, and they will kill you incredibly fast in like 2 to 3 hits, is the fact that you sort of hear a growling, but you don't hear it from a particular direction. So you absolutely have no idea when you're going to be attacked, why you're going to be attacked, and from what actual direction you're going to be hit by. And the fact that you die in 2 hits and then lose all of your stuff is just infuriating. I mean, absolutely absurd. Let's make some more torches. I think the most obvious criticism of this game, outside of the fact that the PC port is god-awful and it doesn't seem to have a single redeeming factor, yeah, outside of those things, is that it's soulless. Whoa, okay, skeleton out of nowhere that I couldn't hear, that almost killed me. Good job I managed to notice it before it hit me again and sent me right back to the spawning area. It's soulless. Like, this game was created for one specific reason. Like, the developer saw, oh, yeah, there's no Minecraft on Xbox right now. Let's make a clone of it. And we won't completely ape it. Like, we'll put an emphasis on the survival mode, but the things like the mining, the way that the tools degrade, even the graphic style in general, we're going to rip that whole cloth from Minecraft, all the hotbar system and everything like that. We're going to take the crafting system and completely simplify it. Again, it's like the game has no soul. It was created for the sole purpose of making a bunch of money. And it did. It successfully made a bunch of money. Oh, Christ. But is this what the dev really wanted? Like, yeah, I really wanted to make a Minecraft clone with shotguns. And I mean, it gets even more ludicrous the further you go down the crafting list, incidentally. If you go to crafting, you'll notice that some of the endgame weapons are kind of ridiculous. It's almost like it was developed by a child. Copper laser sword, which is apparently also a mining tool, inexplicably. I have no explanation for that. Laser pistol, light machine gun, submachine gun, laser submachine gun. What the? Why did I just die? I mean, come on! And it puts me right back to the start again. Now I've just lost everything that was in my inventory, which is just gorgeous. I mean, enemies sneak up behind you without you being able to hear at all, and murder you in 2 hits. And then you lose all of your stuff, and you spawn right back at the start again. Lovely. Just lovely. Absolutely awful. Yeah, I think I'll be safe in the cave, but no, I mean, enemies just kind of randomly spawn. They just come out of the ground as well. They don't even try to obfuscate it. They just pop up at random for no reason and just keep attacking you. And you know, I'd let them get away with it. I would let them get away with it if the combat actually had any depth to it whatsoever, but it doesn't, right? And it doesn't even work properly. Get rid of this thing for a second. Just, the way that the enemies bounce around is just infuriating, because they clip through you and then bounce over your head, so you have no idea where they just went. So the game has aim-down sights, which is bizarre. I mean, not only does it not even animate properly, but it slows everything down. It turns the mouse sensitivity down to bare minimum when you do this. I assume for consoles that was so you could aim better. Here you don't need to do that, and honestly, if you try and actually use the aim-down sights, what's most likely going to happen is that you're going to just miss entirely. It's really kind of embarrassing. I'm trying to find a slow-moving zombie that I can demonstrate it on, but I tried to use the iron sights earlier, put it exactly over the zombie's head, and it flew above the zombie's head, which was just kind of ludicrous. You see what I mean? It's like, that should hit, but you're noticing the bullet hit the ground behind it. And again, I think I actually hit it there. There we go. But there's something off about the aiming, in the sense that it just does not work correctly, which is really, really odd. There we go, now it's finally working, but it's extremely unreliable, and to be fair, you don't need it anyway. I mean, really, you honestly do not need it. You have a mouse. This was for console gamers, and to slow down the stick to make it a little bit easier to aim. The gunplay is incredibly dull, to say the least. The weapons don't feel remotely satisfying in any way, shape, or form. And the fact of the matter is, there only seem to be like 3 enemies in the game. So, it's not like it's challenging you with fresh enemies every time. It is entirely possible that you would find new enemies the further out you went, but, jeez. Frankly, I joined a multiplayer server, and I used the teleport function. It actually has a teleport function to any player in the game and to the surface, which I'll give them credit for. It's actually kind of handy. And I teleported way out, and all we found were different colored versions of the same mobs. So, that wasn't exactly exciting. It's like, oh, what amazing enemies will I find, and what great drops. No, there's none of that. Absolutely none of it. Oh my, oh my, oh my. And this dragon is just infuriating. It's like, oh, you want to go outside and do something? Nope! We're gonna bring the dragon in to incinerate you with fireballs again. Hope you enjoy that. Ugh. Funnily enough, like, the actual pyrotechnic effects of the fireballs are the best looking things in this game. Credit to them, multiplayer does actually work. I have tried it. However, it is lacking in certain key features that you would expect from a cooperative game, like any way to communicate. There is no way to communicate. There's no chat system in the game of any description, which blows my mind, really. How can you think that it's okay to release a co-op multiplayer game that has no chat functionality? Really? I mean, really? Come on. Yeah, this is basic common sense. And I know that you've got an excuse if you've spent 2 years since the release of your game. It's like, oh, let's port it over to PC, make a little bit extra dosh. Well, here's the thing, yeah? When this game came out on Xbox Live, it actually had some relevance, because Minecraft didn't exist back then. That's why there was the gold rush to make a Minecraft clone, because there was money to be had there. On PC, we've had Minecraft for a number of years. Yeah, it's been heavily modded, heavily updated. Pretty much everything that you can do in this game, you can do in Minecraft and better. And that's hilarious to say, because Minecraft's combat is terrible, and yet somehow this game isn't any better. The gunplay is completely unsatisfying, terribly inaccurate. The bullets move at a snail's pace for God knows why. There's just no depth to the combat system whatsoever here. But you can easily mod Minecraft to be just as good as this. And, it's the original. It's got a lot of support behind it. There's mods for pretty much everything. There's a thriving community. You can make your own custom servers. Here, you just host a game. None of that is there. You can't mod it. You can't do anything whatsoever to actually make the game better. It's just an incredibly basic survival mode that was ripped off directly from Minecraft and has no relevance on the PC platform. None whatsoever. It's bothersome, really. It's a quick cash-in title. It's really the only way to describe it, with some cripplingly stupid design decisions. God damn it. That thing did 60% of my health and damage. You have to be incredibly fast to react to that stuff, and apparently the further you go out of the map, the more enemies spawn, so good luck ever doing that solo. It's not to say there's not a little bit of enjoyment to be had in multiplayer. I certainly had more fun playing multiplayer than I did this, but that's like saying it's more fun to cut off my toe than it is to cut off my arm. The game's design is just piss weak. The only good design elements in this game were stolen from other games. That should be reason enough. And I've said it time and again, it's okay to recycle mechanics, but when you're blatantly cloning a game on a platform that already has that superior game, then I have to wonder what exactly is it that you bring to the table here. You don't. You've got inferior building mechanics, you've got inferior crafting, you've got inferior mining, you have an ugly, ugly aesthetic in general. You've even got less enemy types, for God's sake. Less biomes, less features. It is a game that is just effectively worthless on PC. I've got to be honest. And this is not even counting the fact that there have been several accusations that the developer has been actively censoring critical content on its own forum, which, to be fair, has become commonplace lately. It's hardly just them that's been doing that stuff. And that's the problem with the Steam forums, really. They're moderated by the developer, and yet that's often the first place that people go in order to actually find information about a title. So, I mean, that's a conflict of interest in the extreme, one might think. You would certainly think so, at any rate, but evidently they don't seem to believe that. Call with my bare hands. Yeah, they even put a durability system on the weapons, which is just ridiculous, by the way. It's like, great, my gun's gonna break. Absolutely fantastic. It's bad enough that the freaking pickaxes break. Ugh. It's just horrible. I mean, I gotta wonder, what was the idea behind the enemies? Like, where's the unifying art style behind it all? Because you got these blocky areas, of course, and then you've got enemies that just look like they're from Quake. Yeah? So, what was your idea there? The thing is, there wasn't one. Games have to have a unifying art style, as you might imagine. It's like, even a movie. A movie has to have a unified visual style. A book has to have a unified writing style. It would be bizarre if it just flicked between writing styles for no apparent reason. Or if they just, started using different cameras in every scene in a movie and the general aesthetic was completely changed. That stuff is needed to tie it all together, and it just is completely lacking here. It should be blindingly obvious that it is. That combined with the lackluster PC port, I mean, I wouldn't even call it lackluster, terribly lazy PC port. No customizable FOV, no rebindable controls, a bare-bones options menu, plenty of controller prompts as opposed to actual, real mouse and keyboard things going on there. It's just a disgrace. How else can you really describe... and then you've got stuff like disappearing mobs. That was spawning and then just vanished. On multiplayer servers, I've seen mobs warp and lag all over the place. That shouldn't surprise you in any way. Ugh, jeez. I mean, game looks hideous, plays hideous. Just the overall business model, what? What the hell was all that about? Jeez. The principles behind even making a game like this are just disgusting. I'm sorry, but I don't see any reason whatsoever to support a game like this. I don't care if it's an indie developer. You know, indies are not immune to criticism. Absolutely not. And, you know, from the foul stench, the fetid pit of hell that is the Xbox Live indie section, spawns this thing, which gets through green light. No. I'm sorry. This is a waste of your time. It's a waste of a spot on Steam, and you shouldn't be going anywhere bloody near it. You want the final insult? I'll give you the final insult. This game was $1 on Xbox Live Indie. $1. Okay, cool. I get it. Price of a cheap McDonald's hamburger. You'll probably get a couple of hours of fun, I suppose, with your friends, and that'll be it. And on Xbox, that's probably right. On PC, it's $10. $10! You increase the price by that much. What? It's 10 times as expensive. It's incredible. I mean, how can you justify that? The answer is you can't. You can't. What a blatant cash grab. What a piece of crap. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Take a look at CastleMiner Z, currently available on Steam for... I'll see you next time.